You're good.
We're on.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, happy Tuesday, everyone. We are so excited to be here for the Unlock Your Greatness Leadership and Mindset call. And the reason why I say leadership and mindset is because there are so many people from different facets of life that are leaders in their own right. And I know that you gain from us every single Tuesday and every single Thursday. This is also a mindset call. We help you to grow your mind, to unlock your greatness, to know that where you currently are in life, there's so much more ahead. My name is Shauntae Smith, aka Tay Boogie, and I've been your host for the month of August. We are coming down to the wire. We have our last but great phenomenal speaker, Traci. She is a big sister to me. She's a friend. She is a first lady. She's a pastor. She's a praise and worship leader. The list goes on and on. And we also have some exciting news coming down the ranks. So I'm really excited because she's going to speak to us today on the topic, the time is now. Now, I know that you've been gaining from us every single Tuesday and Thursday of this month, and today is not going to be any different. So what I want you to do is grab a pen, grab a paper, start a watch party, add your friends, and let them know the Unlock Your Greatness leadership team is here, and we are prepared to give you nuggets to set this Tuesday on fire. I'm going to step to the back of this live, and I'm going to bring to the front Traci Akins, who is going to give us her rendition of The Time Is Now. Traci, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Let me say we apologize. We were on early, ready to go, but technology is technology. But where there's a will, there's a way. And I know that there is a word for you on today. So let's go ahead and let's dig right in. So we're talking about the time is now, and my sisters have done a phenomenal job. Thank you, Tay, for that awesome introduction. You are absolutely amazing. And they came from various, Shauntae is always going to tell us to heal. We understand that we had to walk in the difference of times, God's timing and our timing. And I just want to simply break down and encourage you today why the time is now. Oftentimes you find yourself right at the moment of transformation and you feel things are just going haywire. You often feel weak when it's about to manifest. Something great is about to manifest. You often feel like you can't press any further. Anybody hear me? Anybody been going through and you're just like, what in the world is going on? You feel the pressure. You feel pressed. You even may feel crushed, but you're not abandoned, right? And you need to know that you are really in the right place at the right time. And so now is the time for you to dig down so that you can walk out on the other side. Now is the time to walk into the new season that has been awaiting you, but you are going to feel some opposition. So as I was preparing for this, I got some news yesterday that just sort of rocked me. And I was just like, God, what is it that you want me to say? Because I don't feel like I can really tell them the time is now because I'm dealing with my own stuff, right? I was having my own crying party. And he said, listen, Jesus wept. John 11:35, he took me there. He said, Jesus wept, he felt, but there was a time of transition that was about to happen. Now, if you go back and you look at the story, Jesus is moved about by Lazarus' death. Lazarus was his boy. Lazarus died, and the people are crying, and Jesus has the same amount of compassion and concern, and he cries along with them. But yet, there were people talking about him. They were saying if he knew what time it was, he would have been here. He would have already healed him. He would have made sure he didn't die. I mean, he is his friend. People are talking like, if this is really your season, then why haven't you manifested everything yet? If this is really your season, if the time is now, why are you still running behind them, listening to their calls every Tuesday and Thursday? If the time is now, why haven't we seen you advance in your business? If the naysayers are talking, but yet Jesus was not moved because he understood that the time was now for him to manifest a great miracle. So he goes to the tomb and he tells them, move the stone out of the way. I need you to understand that even in your time being now, there are some obstacles, so they appear to be standing in your way. What I loved about the story is they didn't say they had a hard time moving it. It was moved out the way. And then Jesus begins to speak to Lazarus, who was dead. I need you to understand now is the time for you to speak to the situation that seems to have been dead, that seems to have been in its grave clothes, that everybody has already closed the door on it. Now is your time to get up and speak to it and command it to come forth. Jesus said, Lazarus, come forth. He didn't have to call him many times. He didn't have to go inside the grave. He didn't have to take off his grave clothes. All he did was speak to it and tell him to come forth. And guess what? Lazarus came up out of his grave clothes and came out the tomb. Today, I came to encourage you that now is the time for you to begin to speak out of your mouth that which has been promised to you, but yet has not manifested yet. Now is the time for you to open up your mouth, understanding that the promises of God are yes and amen. And what he spoke, he does not renege on it. Now is the time. You've been healed. You've been talking. You've been doing the work. You've been going to therapy. You've been doing all that you need to do. You've been developing yourself. Now is the time for you to open up your mouth and speak. So now is the time, if you will let me help you to break down your now. All right. So the N, now is the time for the no. N-O. It is time for the no so that you can know what it is you're supposed to be doing. Now is the time for you to say no to the distractions. Now is the time for you to say no to procrastination. Now is the time for you to say no to your shrinking back. Now is the time for you to say no to living below your God-given ability. Now is the time for you to stop having pity parties. Now is the time for you to stop settling for situations and relationships that are no longer serving you. I saw this quote, says, you can't act like flip-flops and expect to be treated like Louboutins. Now is the time for you to know your worth. Now is the time for you to know and discover all that's on the inside of you, so that you can walk into it. Now is the time for the no, so that you can know what God has planned for you. And when you know that, then you can do the O, you can overcome. Now is the time for you to overcome your limits and beliefs. We've talked about this time and time again, but some of us have really said, and that's good for Traci, but that's not really good for me. Or that's good for Shauntae, but that's not really good for me. No, I need you to know that God is not a respecter of person, and what he makes happen for me, what he makes happen for Rebecca, what he makes happen for any woman on this panel or any gentleman that comes, God will make happen for you. But you got to know that you got to overcome. You got to overcome your fears. Now is the time for you to overcome your opposition. What has been sitting in your doorway that you've been allowing to stay there? I'm going to let you think on that for a minute. What has been sitting in your way that you've been getting up and looking at it time after time after time, day after day, and you have not told it to move? What mountain do you need to speak to? Now is the time for you to overcome poverty. Now is the time for you to overcome your low self-esteem. Now is the time for you to overcome spiritual stagnation. Let that marinate. He said, I wish that you would prosper even as your soul prospers. And some of you are like, I can't get any further, because now is the time for spiritual maturity. Now is the time for you to overcome your health deficiencies. You've been wanting to lose weight? All right, get out and walk. You may not be able to run, but you can move. Change your eating habits. Change your lifestyle. I'm not saying go on a diet. I'm not saying have surgery. Just change your lifestyle and become healthier. Now is the time for you to overcome. Now is the time for you to let go of those friends or those oppositions to your life that no longer serve you. Give them an eviction notice. They are no longer able to reside with you. The lease has expired. And it was time for them to leave a long time ago. But you said we can go on month to month. No, baby, it's time to say, this is not even the last 30 days. This is the last day. I need you out today. Now is the time to overcome. So you know how to say your no's. You now know what you're overcoming, and understand you got to be able to face what it is that you need to overcome. You got to be able to speak it. You got to be able to deal with it. You can't confront anything that you're not willing to deal with. You can't overcome it if you're not willing to deal with it, so that you can you can walk in your authority and power. You can walk in your greatness. You know, it's like this. This is how God showed it to me. It was like a baby taking a step. When they first start, they're unsure about where that step is going to lead them. Right? But then they build their confidence and they are able to take another step. And eventually they begin to walk, and they understand that if I put one foot in front of the other, it's going to lead me to another destination. Well, when you learn how to deal with the no's and you learn how to overcome, it's like you taking those steps. So now you can walk. You can walk into your abundance. It's time for you to walk into your good health. It's time for you to walk into your mental stability. You don't have to be up and down day by day. You don't have to be full of prescription drugs to regulate your mindset. The Bible says he will keep your mind in perfect peace, those whose mind are stayed on Christ Jesus, so you can have mental stability. It is time for you to walk in your debt freedom. It's time for you to get counseling on your finances so you know how to operate. It's time for you to walk in your confidence on who you are. For you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Your substance, God knows it very well. Everything that comprises who you are. It's time for you to walk into the better version of you. You know, I just turned 49. Don't say nothing. Yes, 49 the other week. And I looked in the mirror and I looked at myself and I said, there's still yet a better version of who you are. Now, believe me, I'm 49 and fine, but there's some stuff that I still want to snatch. There's some things I still want to be able to do. And I still want to walk in the better version of me, but I had to deal with the version that I'm looking at. It's time for you to walk into the doors that God has opened for you. Some of you are standing on the verge of your greatest breakthrough, and you are still contemplating, is this God? You're still contemplating, should I start the business? Should I write the book? Should I speak on the platform? Should I? Could I? What would happen? What happens if you don't? What happens if you don't write the book? What happens if you don't walk into your level of greatness? What happens if you don't start the business? What happens if you don't put the grind in? That's the better question. Then you'll be right back where you started, stuck. Now is the time for you to walk in the fullness of your calling. Understand, everybody's not called to preach on the pulpit. I'm not saying that. When I say walk into your calling, whether it's mentorship, whether it's being a business owner, whether it is in ministry, whatever it is, there's a calling, whether it's to teach, to instruct. God can use it in very different forms, but it's time for you to stop being scared. And now is the time for you to totally walk into it. Walk into being that better person, that better business person. Walk into doing the work that will cause you to live a life, the best life that you could ever imagine. And then God will take it even further than that. Now is the time. Because if you don't apprehend the time that you have now, you'll miss it. If you don't take this time to develop now, you'll miss your window of opportunity. You'll abuse and misuse it because you feel that you got eternity to walk on this earth. And the truth is, we're all going to have an end. When I die, I don't want to die full of potential. I want to die empty. I want to die knowing that I gave everything my best and I fulfilled every dream, every promise that was given to me. I want to die knowing that I've exhausted myself because I fulfilled everything that God has showed me. There are some of you that God has showed you things that have blown your mind and you froze. He's saying, I didn't give it to you for you to freeze. I gave it to you so that you would be driven to go towards it. Your end will not happen until you have fulfilled what it is that you are called to do. But don't allow the spiritual Planned Parenthood to come around and abort what God has given you to do. Now is the time to dig down. Now is the time to walk. Now is the time to overcome. Now is the time to deal with the no. I love this poem by Benjamin E. Mays. It says, I only have a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it. But it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. Just a little tiny minute, but eternity is in it. Now is the time. Seize your moment. Shauntae, back over to you.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, first of all, that poem was bomb. And I just want us to kind of take a moment. I think sometimes we give our motivation, our encouragement, and then we go straight into the recap. And then we just have to do the replay because it's just too much, too fast. It was so many chewable moments that you gave. I just want to recap a few, but I know the chat, I've been watching it, and people are like, I thought about this morning. This is an aha moment. And for me, Traci, your entire delivery today, to me, it said be intentional, right? When you broke down, you actually gave us an acronym for the word now. Many of us need to start saying no. I know I'm in that category. For the past 2 years, I've been opening up my mouth, really taking off that muzzle of quietism to say no. We say this almost every week. Say no to the things that are no longer serving you, the things that are no longer pushing you forward, whether it be person, place, thing, addiction, craving. Say no. You have the authority in order to unlock your greatness. She talked about procrastination and even distractions. We have to say no, right? Then we have to overcome. I want to encourage someone today, and we're not going to stay too hard because I always was taught that you don't preach after the preacher, right? But we have to overcome. Overcoming is a daily activity. From the moment you open up your eyes, some of you are fighting battles even in the bed. Before you even put your feet on the floor, it feels like warfare. It feels like contradiction. It feels like for some even that these Tuesday and Thursday moments are the only moment of peace that you have because your entire life after we get off is in opposition. But we want to encourage you. My sister is encouraging you to overcome limiting beliefs. You're going to have to war in your mind. Calls like this, audiobooks, YouTubes, getting around the right people help you to overcoming low self-esteem, overcoming spiritual stagnation. Bible says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And that's not always easy to change your mindset, but we promise you, if you continue to work on it, if you change your mind, you will eventually change your life. Then she said, walk in it. Right? We're talking about being intentional. You walk. Tay can't walk. Traci can't walk. Rebecca, Shauntae, Safana, and Atara. We can't do this walk for you. You're going to have to put Pat and Charlie, right? You're going to have to put one foot in front of the other and walk into your authority and your power. When you come into knowing who you are, there's a posture. There's a leveling up. There's a boss mindset, right? To say that abundance is my birthright. So I'm walking in abundance. That mental stability is my portion. My mind is not going to be scatterbrained. I'm not going to be all over the place. I'm not going to think that I'm great and then accept defeat. I'm not going to speak my healing and then entertain a negative prognosis. I have mental stability, right? Then I'm walking in debt freedom because I want to buy a house, because I want to pay cash, because I want to get married, because I need a new car, because my children need something to be left to them for generational wealth. I'm walking into a better version of myself. I need somebody to put that in the chat. I'm walking into a better version of me, and put your name. So when I get off of here, I'm going to say, I'm walking into a better version of Shauntae, right? Because there is a you that we physically see, and then there's a you that you should see, right? There's a you that you're aspiring to go after. So I need you to walk into that version of you that you're dreaming about. Come on, Life by Design, that we're journaling about. Right? That we're praying about. I want to walk into her. I want to see her. I want to manifest him, right? I want to be able to be her. What does that new version look like? Shauntae Salter has been helping me, and then we're going to be through. She's been saying, before you get to your next place, you have to envision it. What does that person look like? What do they sound like? What's their appetite? Where are they living, right? Who are their friends? How much money is in that person's bank account? That's how you start to manifest who you are. Put some details to it. And then the last thing she said was, develop yourself now and walk into open doors, because what happens if you don't? I don't want a woulda, shoulda, coulda lifestyle. The reason why we get up early, the reason why we are doing this out of the abundance of our heart is to let you know that you need to live beyond an option. We don't need woulda, shoulda, couldas. We don't need to pick, dang, if I would have just went all in 2020, 2021 would have been better. Or if I would have just gave it my all in the third quarter, my Christmas would have looked different. My friendships would have. We don't want you to live with regret. We don't want you to live like that. So what happens if you don't? And then she said, don't miss your window of opportunity. We're coming to the close of this series. We have one more speaker. My daddy is coming on Thursday, but I don't want you to miss your window of opportunity. The time is now is a prophetic charge to each and every one of us to get busy doing the thing that we were supposed to be doing this year. In the midst of hell breaking loose, in the midst of lives being turned upside down, in the midst of justifications of us going to sit in a corner and cry somewhere, there is something that 2020 is requiring of you. And I know that I'm going to do my part, and we hope that you do as well. Traci, thank you for this phenomenal rendition. You are absolutely amazing. And I know the chat is bursting with aha moments. Join us Thursday morning. My father, Dr. Jonathan Shaw, is going to be with us to end it. Let all the men know we're going to have our male speaker on this Thursday. But until then, have a phenomenal Tuesday. We love you. Bye-bye for now.